You've heard of the Holocaust. You've heard of the Inquisition. But there's one genocide that's almost never mentioned, a silent purge, one that wiped out millions of people, simply for believing in God. This is the story of how up to 60 million Christians died at the hands of the regime that promised equality and delivered terror. Welcome to Time Travelers Anonymous. Today, we go back to the Russian Revolution and expose the mass murder buried in history's darkest basement. It started in 1917. The Russian Empire collapsed, and in the chaos, the Bolsheviks rose. Led by Vladimir Lenin, the Bolsheviks were a radical Marxist faction. They didn't just want to change government. They wanted to destroy the old world, its kings, its landowners, and its churches. Their ideology was rooted in militant atheism. Religion wasn't just wrong to them, it was the enemy. The Russian Orthodox Church, which had stood for over 1,000 years, was labeled a tool of oppression. And so, they began their campaign to erase it. Churches were burned, priests were arrested, crosses were replaced with red stars, Bibles were banned, children were taught that God was a lie, and those who resisted, they disappeared. Under Lenin and later Joseph Stalin, the repression intensified. Clergy were executed en masse. Monasteries were turned into labor camps. Confessing Christ became a death sentence. Estimates vary. But historians believe between 30 to 60 million people perished under Soviet communism, not just through executions, but through engineered famines, forced labor, and relentless purges. And the majority of those victims? Christian peasants, the soul of Russia, who refused to kneel to the state instead of God. This isn't speculation. It's documented. In 1922, Lenin wrote that priests should be shot as many as possible. Stalin went further, targeting entire communities in the Holodomor famine, starving millions in Ukraine and beyond. It was a war on faith, and it was systematic. Here's what's stranger. The West knew. They watched as millions vanished, yet in school, in pop culture, in textbooks, we hear almost nothing. No global memorial, no day of remembrance, no films, no justice. Why? Because history is written by the victors. And in the end, Stalin became our ally. The West partnered with the very regime that had declared war on God. And when World War II ended, the Cold War began. Not just over weapons or territory, but over the soul of civilization itself. This wasn't just a political movement. It was an ideological purge, a war on memory, morality, and meaning. And today, most people have never even heard of the Christian genocide. That silence is part of the tragedy. This is Time Travelers Anonymous. If you're still here, you're part of the few who dare to ask, what else have they buried? Like, follow and subscribe on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Because the past isn't just history, it's a blueprint, and they're still using it. Stay curious, stay questioning, and never forget the millions who died simply because they believed.